You know, if there's one thing Phantom Forces excels at, then it's being a modern shooter with its many modern, iconic, and even old school weapons that we as mercenaries can use. But while combining past and present is one, it's a whole other thing to combine the past with the future. Stylus sought to give us this glimpse into the future with what it at the time dubbed as space weapons. But all that was added was the G11 and WA 2000, which sure may have some cool playstyles, but it wasn't exactly the sort of future we were hoping for. And so today I think I'm going to try and see what a futuristic Phantom Forces could look like with the game called Energy Assault. Alright, here we are on the main menu, and kinda like Big Paintball, the menu seems pretty simple despite the many options to go through, and they're already throwing a limited time offer at me. Great. Is this another one of those limited time starter packs? Whatever, I'll get into that later. Hold on. Credits. But I can already see how much in-game money I have below the pay-to-win starter packs, so what could this possibly be? Oh, okay. It seems like this game actually credits the devs of this game, which, while it's a nice thought, the execution is less than stellar, since the organization of this credits menu makes it barely comprehensible on who did what. Well, first things first, let's see what Energy Assault has to offer when it comes to everybody's favorite thing in multiplayer games: microtransactions. Wait, what? Can you only buy credits and game passes in this game? What about other things like different weapons or hell, even player skins? Oh, I see. Okay, there are actually two stores in this game. One for buying money, and another one for spending it. Also, some of the prices listed in the store is just yikes. So, already now I see this game is the grindy type of FPS game. Now, what's interesting is the fact that the shop has a rotating stock, so not only do they force you to grind for hours for a single item, but you now also have to carry the weight of constant worrying about missing out on cool new items. Great! Speaking of skins, most of them seem to be using faces that I'm pretty sure I've seen in some unholy places. Also, thank God weapon skins can be bought manually here instead of revolving around opening and rolling countless skin cases to get one specific skin only to run out of money halfway through. Anyways, with all that shopping out of the way, let's dive into everybody's second favorite thing: the settings. And okay, wow. For a game that looks this simple, there are quite a few settings here, including some odd ones like the fire mode and raise stance keys. Speaking of strange settings, there's also the option to disable the extra bright lasers, which seems to just remove the energy part of Energy Assault. Also, I like how for particle effects you can't actually choose to have none enabled. No, you're actually forced to deal with either all particles enabled or slightly less of them. Wait, what are these badges? Oh, okay, so these are like achievements. Huh, that's actually kinda nice, as even if I get bored with this game, which I probably will, I'd always have something to return to. And some of them seem to offer quite the challenge, like Spare Nobody, High Precision, and Weekly Warrior. Although said achievements seem to be a little glitch, as there's already progress before I've even started playing the game, which I guess is the downside of starting from rank 1 rather than rank 0. You know, since last time where I played Frontlines, I was actually kinda impressed with what the stat page decided to show, so let's see how Energy Assault carried through with this. Huh, this seems very similar to the UI design they went with in the settings tab. Simple on the outside, but when you look closer, this stat page is almost overly specific with things like longest headshot and seemingly every possible trackable thing about game modes ever. Also, turns out the global leaderboard in this game is within your own personal stat page, which would have been a good way to make a comparison, but problem is that the global leaderboard only lists other players' ranks, and literally nothing else. But I gotta admit, I just love switching between the two tabs because of this little animation. Okay, before we dive into all the guns, let's just check out what the battle rewards truly is. Okay, this was not what I was expecting at all. In fact, it looks like this is some sort of daily missions tab where the more missions you complete, you'll be able to get additional prizes like weapon skins, Roblox animation thumbnail characters, and even other guns that... Wait, can you even buy this weapon? Hold on. Yeah, no, you can't even buy this on the main loadout page. What? And you know what, now that I'm finally here, let's check out the guns, starting off with the fact that two guns are literally locked behind a paywall, and judging by the stats they have, then I will draw the conclusion that Energy Assault is pay to win. Yeah, let's just move on to another game. Okay, I gotta point this out because I think it's pretty funny. See, the gun models in this game are definitely leaning more onto the simple side, but the thing is, it goes from one model like the Scar that looks like it was made in like 4 seconds, to something like the Honey Badger that looks like a new gun for Frontlines. It's just really funny to me, and you'd absolutely never see something like that in Phantom Forces. Now, one thing I really like about this page is the fact that when you hover over a gun, it kind of jumps to look at you, which while it's a very small detail, I really like when the menu is interactive and alive with subtle animation. And you know, now that I'm hovering over all the guns, I'm starting to realize that pretty much every gun in this game is also in Phantom Forces. Like look, they got the Saiga, the G3, the VSS, and oh god, they have the Honey Badger. And oh no, they have the A12? And dear lord, they have the M82? Well, guess it's time for me to pay up since I already know these weapons are going to be everywhere. Speaking of pre-buying, one thing I noticed is that the max credit limit in the shop is ironically the exact same price of the XM8, which means the XM8 practically costs exactly 2,400 Robux. Great. But on the topic of the XM8, this gun besides the VIP ones is the only gun that isn't also in Phantom Forces. By the way, Stylus, you should like totally add the XM8 to Phantom Forces, please? And now that we're talking about adding things, I think the devs should focus a bit more on the secondary department, as there's only 8 secondaries, with the Tech 9 being the only automatic one. And while sure, maybe staying simple with secondaries is a good thing, the devs almost made it too simple since there isn't even a melee tab on the loadout page. And this pattern of simplification continues with the weapon stats because the only stats that are displayed are the weapon's damage, fire mode, fire rate, and magazine capacity. And that's literally it. Okay, I was snooping a little bit around on the attachments, and I've realized that this is one of the few FPS games out there where you can't actually pre-buy attachments. Which, honestly, is completely fine with me since the highest kill attachment isn't even that bad at a mere 300 kills. Also, it seems like Energy Assault got a bit inspired by Bad Business as it also has kill unlock skins, except they're just slight color variations rather than skins that were actually worth grinding for. Now, one last observation I'm going to state before jumping straight into battle is that I can literally already pre-buy the only 3-shot pistol besides the Deagle right off the bat. So, without further ado, here we go. Okay, here we are spawned in, and immediately I'm noticing that the view models look surprisingly high detail compared to the gun models. In fact, the gun models are so low quality that using irons becomes a literal chore since the iron sights in this game consist of like 2 bricks. Also, since I refuse to believe otherwise, I managed to find out that this game in fact does have a melee, and it sucks. Like, it's really bad. You know, I think I understand why they don't even mention the melee on the loadout page now. Anyways, enough complaining. Last time we played Frontlines, a game that had actual recoil. I know, very scary. So let's see what the recoil in Energy Assault looks like. Wait, no way. Did I just find an FPS game without a single bit of recoil? Yeah, no, this is the best game ever. Also, another thing that I'm noticing is that I have infinite ammo? Yo, this game is awesome! Okay, I'm really hyped now. But before we give Energy Assault Game of the Year, it has to go through one last thing. Can you super jump?
You know, real quick, I want to thank everybody and say that I think I want to nominate this award to
Energy Assault.
And now that we're talking about movement, it turns out you can actually vault in this game, although it's incredibly clunky since every time you vault, you don't jump over the object, but rather you just clip through it. And speaking of fun features, I also found out that turning up your FOV directly interacts with the iron sights, which is just like, why? I don't know how they managed to do it, but they've somehow managed to make playing it with a high FOV a disadvantage, which is just like, Speaking of strange mechanic design, you're apparently completely unable to pick up guns in this game, which while I do kinda like since I live by having my guns to myself even if I die with them in battle, but how are the poor Energy Assault YouTubers supposed to make content without this feature? Oh wow, I've already ranked up again? I swear I've been playing for like 10 minutes and I've already accumulated like several levels. Well, since I've leveled up a bit, let's see what guns I've unlocked. Wait, what? Are there no rank unlocks in this game? Do you seriously have to buy every gun individually? You know, the maps in this game, while you can definitely tell they were made in Roblox, are still pretty beautiful, and some even have cool mechanics like door physics or sandstorm events, which you see surprisingly little of in most Roblox FPS games these days. Although while the maps are cool, the gameplay on them though, yeah, it kinda just feels like the average Metro match in Phantom Forces, as some maps are just a couple huge choke points stuck together. Speaking of Phantom Forces, turns out Energy Assault has its own Desert Storm variant, which I mentioned before has the cool Sandstorm event that changes up the gameplay and kinda nerfs snipers halfway through. Is what I would say if the storm wasn't totally see-through and straight up doesn't affect half the map. In fact, I think the most flawed part of Energy Assault is the map design, like this winter map where the tower in the middle is straight up the best position to be in and by far one of the most overpowered spots in the entire game. Although often when you're up here, you'll feel like you're playing TDS with the amount of ladder camping you have to do so you don't lose the tower.
We'll get him though. The crane is no longer safe. It was safe several years ago. Now it's just like, hey guys, I'm up here, come get me.
Another cool thing that sadly had terrible execution is the environment's animation. See, when you play something like Capture the Flag, the enemy flag will move down the flagpole, and then after reaching the bottom, your team's flag will then rise. On paper, this is a great idea for immersion. However, if for some reason you decide to make it literal negative FPS like this, then you'd probably just be better off not having it in the game. On the topic of animation, the actual animation in this game looks like something even I could make. The sprint is like 3 keyframes. The quick melee animation for some reason takes 7 years to go through, and unlike every FPS game ever that at least tries to make your character kinda badass by doing stylish reloads, Energy Assault on the other hand is just mag out, mag in, oh, and maybe load the gun too. Alright, cool.
Nice job, team.
But let's quickly go back to the maps, although more specifically, I want to talk about the spawns. See, one thing I really commend about the maps in Energy Assault is the fact that it has the groundbreaking technology known as rotating spawns. I'm waiting, Stylus. Come on, you know we need this in the game. Please. Wait, what? Bro just spawned out of nowhere! What the f- Also, I swear to god, this game is more enjoyable to play without sound because the gun sounds get so annoying incredibly fast because it just sounds like the devs took the same sound and pitched it oh so slightly different for each gun. And another thing that seriously confuses me about this game is the muzzle brake's existence in Energy Assault. Like, bro, what point does the muzzle brake even serve when every gun barely has any recoil to begin with? Alright, considering we got a shotgun right off the bat, let's see how busted these things really are. Alright, I've been playing for quite a while now, and I think I finally cracked the code for Energy Assault, with the first tactic being constantly hip firing. No, seriously, despite what you'd expect, the guns barely have any spread even when hip firing, which for once gives the crosshair in an FPS game actual functionality. Another tactic that works super well is basically just spamming super jump and prone whenever you can. Huh. You know, saying that out loud made me realize that maybe Energy Assault isn't so different from Phantom Forces after all. Now, one thing I actually really like about Energy Assault is how balanced it is. See, while most of the mechanics in this game are absolute bullshit, luckily every server I join seems to be inhabited by a literal kindergarten. I mean, seriously, not only do they have like zero game sense, but they also love to walk in groups, which are just so easy to mow down. In fact, getting kills in this game is so simple that pre-firing literally any area while practically playing tennis with your mouse is actually a viable strategy. And since people absolutely love walking in groups, that means my favorite tactic, flanking, is once again extremely overpowered. Although even getting a successful squad wipe by flanking is a bit hard to do successfully, as not only is the time to kill incredibly slow due to the fact that there are basically no 3-shot weapons in this game, but also because of the fact that the hit reg in Energy Assault makes Phantom Force's hit reg look perfect in comparison. Like seriously, I have no idea how the devs of this game managed to make the most delayed hit registration I've ever seen. And again, that says a lot since I'm a bloody Phantom Forces player. Wait, what? Are my eyes deceiving me right now, or did the game just give me free wall hacks? You know, the more I play Energy Assault, the more I feel like I'm just playing a futuristic arsenal, as hitting headshots is like the easiest thing in the world if you consciously go for it. In fact, I would actually argue it's easier than Arsenal because of the slower movement speed, and also because the characters have heads the size of the subscriber count that I could have if you subscribed. Okay, I've saved some of these complaints for last because I simply can't go any longer without bringing them up. First of all, the snipers in Energy Assault fucking suck, and here's why. The starter sniper not only doesn't one-shot headshot, but it's not even a 2-tap to the body, which wouldn't be too bad if the game didn't have bullet speed for some reason. Because despite the weapons firing literal lasers, there is still bullet speed in this game that isn't at all what you would expect for a gun firing literal bursts of energy. But oh ho ho, no, we're not done there, my friend. See, Energy Assault has this cool little game mode called Gun Game, which allowed me to get my hands on the M82, which despite everything you'd expect from it, doesn't even fucking one-tap to the— Speaking of game modes, Energy Assault, while having fairly regular game modes like Team Deathmatch and King of the Hill, the way these actually work in game are far from what you'd expect. Because it turns out that King of the Hill and Energy Assault works exactly like Hardpoint does in Phantom Forces. Yes, this means you have to stand on the hill to get points instead of just capturing it, which is just like bruh. Although that's not to dunk on the game modes completely, as Energy Assault also has a few unique ones you don't see so often among other games, like a literal free-for-all game mode and Artifact, which is basically Hardpoint if you were the Hardpoint. Now, as a Phantom Forces player, grenades are basically our god at this point, and if there's an opportunity to use one, I will absolutely take it without hesitation. Unfortunately, this instinct didn't actually carry over to Energy Assault simply because timing the grenades is a lot harder, as there's no subtle in-game timer like the crosshair flick in Phantom Forces. And you're also unable to cancel grenade throws, leading to awkward situations like these. Apparently there's no actual win condition in Energy Assault, which means you could probably get ridiculously high kill games since matches can't end prematurely. You know, funnily enough, Energy Assault has the same random intense music at the end of the round that Frontlines has, which is just way funnier than most people realize considering how goofy this game actually is. You know, I often come into these games with high spirit, and for once Energy Assault didn't disappoint. While there are glaring flaws, Energy Assault has a huge fun factor since it's not overly difficult to get into and has a very casual feel. See, unlike most FPS games nowadays, Energy Assault thankfully doesn't have overly high ranked players whose sweat don't single-handedly ruin the experience for everyone else. Never mind, I'm quitting this game forever.